Welcome back to another edition of Demystifying Digital Marketing by Skyzone Communications. We thank you for the kind of receivership we had in the previous video. For those people who don't know, our channel is Skyzone Communications on YouTube, Skyzone KE on Instagram, Skyzone Communications on Facebook, and also on Twitter is Skyzone KE. You're welcome to subscribe anytime and follow us for any of the updates that we keep posting every week. Now today, from the last conversation we had, we talked about domains and the different things you need to factor when you're registering your domain. Now I want to go a level higher from the domain. Now what is next? The next thing from your domain name, once you've now decided to register your domain, the next thing you also need to consider is having a website. Now today we're going to talk about the two types of websites that we have. Of course we have so many, but those are like minor categories. So we're going to talk about the major categories of websites that we have, and from these now you can actually get the minor categories. Now any website that you look around the world will fall under these two categories. Yeah, sorry for this. I think I'll answer it later. Any website that you look on the internet will fall under two categories. The first one is static, a static website, and then the second one is a dynamic website. Now today we are going to talk about these two major types of websites. Now for those who don't understand, we are trying to demystify so that at the end of this video you are able to know which type of website is appropriate or is recommended for your business. So when you're talking about a static website, what do we basically mean? If you go way back in before 2005, most websites were programmed using what we call HTML. HTML means hypertext markup language, which was basically used to develop websites by programmers. Now, if you looked keenly for those people who developed websites during those years, most people used to call programmers to update content for them. So basically what a static website means, it means it's an informational website. There is no interactivity, there is no functionality, it is just like a brochure site. The way you can print a brochure and give it to somebody. The information that is on the website is static. It never changes unless you call your programmer to change it for you. That is a static website. Now the next type of website is what we call a dynamic website. And currently most websites are actually dynamic. Now a dynamic website, as opposed to a static website, is a website that is interactive, whose content you can easily change, that is based on a database somewhere or a file where all the data within the website is picked from. So you can, as you compare the two, of course both of them are relevant even today, depending on the different types of businesses that you want to apply the website on. Like we have, there are news websites, you have company websites. So depending on your requirements, you are able to know which type of website you actually want, whether it's a static website or a dynamic website. Now let's look at applicability. Now when it comes to a static website, let's assume you have a very small business, a business that you just need maybe like 3 pages of a website. Like if you're looking at developing a site, you only need a maximum of 3 pages. In such a case, you honestly don't need a dynamic website. You just need a static website simply developed by what we call HTML, as I said, hypertext markup language, and what we call CSS, cascading style sheets. Those two are the only languages you will need in terms of developing that particular site. Very simple to develop, and it applies for those people who don't need like a huge website. Now, when it comes to the dynamic website, if you look at a large website, for example, we can take an example of Nation.co.ke that belongs to Nation Media. They need information changed every day. Whenever there is news breaking or there is something new that comes up, information has to be changed regularly. So in such a case, you cannot have a static website. You have to implement what you call a dynamic website, which will have some sort of a database somewhere where you'll be storing this information. As you keep changing the data, you are able to update the website with the information in the database. Now, so in terms of applicability, you find that depending on your requirements, if you're a small company that just wants like 1 or 2 pages of a website, static websites will be the best for you, because in terms of even the cost implication, which is the next thing I wanted to talk about, static websites are slightly cheaper than the dynamic websites. Now, when it comes to the development tools, I think we've already talked about static websites only needing HTML and CSS. Now, because dynamic websites are somehow more complicated than static websites, you need other tools other than just HTML and CSS. As I said, number one, you'll need a database. So most people use currently databases like MySQL, Postgre, and so many SQL and all those databases that are actually used in developing dynamic websites. But in addition to that, you need what we call client-side scripting language. I mean client-side languages, and we have server-side scripting languages. Now, the server-side scripting language help you fetch content from the database that we talked about. Then the client side actually helps you, interact when it comes to the browser level. So when it comes to a dynamic site, a dynamic website, you need more tools than just the static website. And that will explain the cost of developing a dynamic website being higher than just the static website. So depending on your requirements as a business, I will not tell you whether a static website is good for you or a dynamic website is good for you. Based on the explanation that I've just given, you will be able to assess yourself and see, does my business need a dynamic website or a static website? If you're starting out and you're a small business, go with static. If you're an established business, or you need, or maybe you're a startup and you need a website whose content should be regularly changed, you need to go with a dynamic site. So at least those are some of the, that is actually some of the things I wanted to discuss with you with regards to the 2 types of websites, that is the static website and the dynamic website. Some of the examples that I can give with regards to a dynamic website, as I said, one is nation.co.ke. Now when it comes to our own site, if you come to our site, you'll find that it's a static site. It's a combination of the two. There is the static part and there's the dynamic part. So you can go to skyzone.co.ke and see an example of a static site. And why I've said it's a combination of the two is we have a blog section within our site that we keep updating regularly. So the blog part of our site is a dynamic, has been developed from the dynamism of the dynamic website. But the main content of the site, which we rarely change, is developed as a static element when it comes to the static website. So those are the 2 main differences between static websites and dynamic websites. So depending on your business, depending on your brand, you'll be able to establish which one you really need. Now, most people have asked me questions online with regards to Joomla, WordPress, where do they fall? Now, Joomla is a content management system, meaning it runs on a database. Any website that runs on a database, that is a dynamic website, because it means it gives you the ability to keep changing the content. So Joomla, WordPress, Drupal, Magento, all those content management systems that are available fall under dynamic websites. So I hope now you've clarified between the two. And if you need more clarifications, you can always call us on 0797 333 251 or 0737 141 968. We'll just confirm it, but I think those are the numbers. You can also find us on Twitter at SkyZoneKE, on Facebook, SkyZone, on Instagram, SkyZoneKE, and also on our YouTube channel, SkyZone Communications. So till the next episode, we'll be demystifying digital marketing. Have a brilliant day. I think it's a weekend, so have a brilliant weekend. Till next time.